You won't believe how simple it is to create a stunning watercolor pencil card using a simple Temu stamp. Let me show you how. Hey there, crafty friends. Today I'm going to show you how to create a stunning watercolor pencil card using a simple Temu stamp. Just wait until you see the magic we're going to make together. Now this is an ATC card that I made a couple of days ago using a stamp set. And it just turns out so cute. But I decided to take the stamp set that I got from Temu. It comes with dies and stamps, and I made cards out of this a few months ago and just really loved it. So I decided to play with this again using a couple of these small elements out of here. So I'm going to get one of these small stamps and a small sentiment and put it on a normal size watercolor card. This is, I think, a 4.5 by 5.5, and this is a scrap from my paper bin, and I'm going to use that as a frame behind it. And this is a card base about a size A2, bright hot pink, and that's just going to help contrast some of the colors in the card. And I'm going to use this Stampin' Assist tool. It's a generic brand. It's kind of like the Misty. And then a sticky mat. I had bought this at the Dollar Tree, and that helps hold my paper in place. And so I arranged it kind of in the center of this card because I'm going to add some inking and shading along the edges. And now I'm going to be getting some permanent ink dye to put on this stamp, and I think I stamp it about 3 times. It's not real water reactive, so when I watercolor the picture, it will not react to the water I put in it. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this watercolor picture. Since it's a little porous and it's a little thicker of a paper, I decided to stamp it several times just to make sure it had a good, thick, nice base of black on there. It's looking pretty good. And so next I'm going to get this embossing ink. I'm going to clean my stamps there first, and I'm going to emboss this 3 times. So this puts a nice thick layer of embossing ink on my card. And I'm using this super fine embossing powder from Hero Arts. And I keep it in this bin because this is one I use the most, the clear. You put this on any color of ink that you're using, and it just makes that color of ink just stand out. And so I'm going to dip my card in there. I should have, before I stamped, I should have wiped my card down with some anti-static powder. Totally forgot. But it's one of those things that, you do once, you usually won't do again. And so I'm just coating it with this embossing powder nice and liberally. And then I'm going to put that over to the side because I don't want to turn on my heating tool with that nearby. Just stuff will fly everywhere. So I get down my Teflon mat here. It's a cooking mat. I think I got it at Costco. And center that here so you can see it. And I got these little tongs. I think I picked these up from Michael's. And this heat tool I purchased from Temu. I did have a huge heating gun, and it was just a little bit too powerful for some of these little cards and things I was embossing, and it was kind of big to handle along with a piece of paper and stuff too. So I decided to get this little tool, and it works out great. Heats up very quickly. So I'm just kind of letting that embossing ink and just kind of heat up and melt on top of that black ink that I put down underneath it. And it turns into this beautiful raised black shine. And this is important for me for watercoloring. I like to stay in the lines, and this will make lines around my watercoloring to help me stay within a line. So if you're new at watercoloring, this is great, and this is going to really help out. So here I put my finished embossing card down on a sticky mat, and I tape the sides down so it stays in place. And I just found these on Amazon. These are water brushes, and here's little bristles there. See the water coming out. And so I'm going to be using that here shortly. And I got these colored pencils recently also off of Amazon from Artisto. Beautiful colors. And so let's give these a try. Now this little mouse here, I'm going to color him gray. I'm going to start with the lightest shade of gray I have and do his inner ears and his tummy with this. So I'm just doing little circular motions, lightly coloring it. And because I want this to be the palest sections on him. So I find it personally for myself, it's easier to color with colored pencils than it is for painting. Painting is kind of intimidating for me, but I love the look of watercolor images. So I'm just going around getting that tummy filled in with this light gray. And next I'm changing to the medium gray, and I'm just doing his other parts here around his ears and his head and body. And that embossing ink that I put on is helping me stay within the lines. So it really helps me out. I got a little arthritis in my hands, and it's easy for me to go off track if I'm not careful. So this really helps me stay within bounds. I get off in a couple places, but it's, you know, it's hard to notice it, not unless you're looking for it. So I'm just kind of doing light circular motions, a little bit on the side, not with the point of this pencil. Get them all colored in. Now you can do all your colors at once, or you can do it in stages. I decided to do it in stages. So I'm going to go ahead and get that watercolor marker. I'm going to do the lighter colors first. And it's best to go from the lighter areas to where you want it the darkest. I'm going from the bottom of the ear close to his head and out toward the edges. And this pushes the paint out toward the edge. And I'm going to do his tummy there. And I can just see this pencil lead just reacting to this water and start to spread out. And so it's just like magic happening in front of your eyes here. And the longer this water sits on here, the more watery colory it looks. So I wish you could see this in person. It's just coming to life here. Go around those ears good. Now, creating with watercolor pencils is not only fun and relaxing, but it's a great way to add a personal touch to your greetings. This is just really just fun to do. And remember, there's no mistakes in art, just happy accidents, which you'll see shortly coming up here, so keep watching. So as you work your way around the design, just blend the colors together using a wet brush, and it creates a smooth and vibrant base for your stamp. And also remember, don't worry about the imperfections. The beauty lies in them, and it's unique touches to bring about your creation. So I'm adding this little lighter shade of pink here, and just filling in the flower petals. And I'm just doing it lightly. I'm not pressing very hard because I wanted this to be my lighter pink base. And I'm hoping once I activate this with the water, it will turn into a pinky, peachy shade, and just look really stunning and turn into a beautiful flower. Yeah, now I'm just kind of using this little bit darker pink and just going down the one side of these petals. I'm just going to do a little bit of shading. So I'm not the perfect one at shading, but usually I notice if I pick the one side of an object and kind of stick with it with my shading, it usually works out pretty well. So I'm just kind of sticking to the one side and go all the way around the flower. A little bit of yellow for the middle portion there. All right, let's get that water brush out again. And so I'm starting at the center and we're working out to the tip of each petal. You can start seeing the color changing in that paint as it's getting wet. It is starting to change into that orangey, peachy color. You can see that shading happening around the edges. Oh, I love this color so far. Let's do that stem in a little bit of a green. And while I paint these other colors, it gives time for the first part that I did to dry a little bit, because you want to dry before you add a little bit. So now that it's dried a little bit, I can add a little bit darker gray. And I'm going to use this for shading on the mouse. And so any curves around his body is kind of where I'm going to be kind of circly motioning around this areas. And this will cause some shading once I reactivate this with water again. And it's important to use watercolor paper when you do this because it has the right absorbency needed to absorb these colors a little better. I tried on some paper that wasn't meant for watercoloring when I was practicing. Oh, there's my mistake. Oh, look at that. I forgot to clean my brush. His ear is yellow. So I just got a little cloth, wipe that off, and go back over that with gray. And I'll reactivate that here in a moment. See, very unique touch. He's a special little mouse now. All right, let's re-wet that and reactivate it. All right, so I'm going to go in and activate that shading area there. A little circular motion of my brush. I'm going to keep that darker paint more at the bottom of his chin, so I'm kind of brushing down toward underneath to his neck. And then I'll bring it down the side of his body a little bit. There you can kind of see it pulling a little bit. Very nice. It's looking pretty good there. All right, I decided this flower needed a little bit more pop of red tones in it, so I decided just do a line down the center of each petal. All right, and let's re-wet this and see what happens. All right, brushing from the center out. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, look at that gorgeous color coming out. That extra red was definitely a good choice. Let me pull this off and have you take a look at it. Look at this, and as it sits, these colors are going to deepen and really start to stand out. So I'm going to let this sit and dry for a moment here. So the hard part is done. So what we're going to do now, the card's dry. Look at that flower, how bright it is now. I'm going to ink the edges. So I got a little saltwater taffy and a little crackling campfire, a little bit of pink and a little bit of orange. And these are water reactive inks from Tim Holtz Ranger. And I'm just going to smear a little bit on my glass cutting board. Pick this up from the Dollar Tree. And since it's water reactive, I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of water. And this will help with it spreading pretty far when it shades. And so I'm just going to spritz it there and then get a little brush. And I'm going to start off the edge of the paper and just kind of work my way in. And this is going to frame the image. Since I got a tiny little image in the center of this card, it's kind of there by itself, but this is going to add some color and some interest and frame him in really nicely. It's really hard to see this pink, but it's a really, really pretty shade. So I'm doing a circular motion right there. See, I'm kind of starting off of the card onto my mat. I'm working on vinyl mat, so this is easy to clean up this ink when I'm all finished. All right, now I'm going to go in a little further with this orange, this crackling fire, and I'm going to smear a little bit of this on my glass cutting board, spritz it with a little water there, get a different brush, brush that on there and start on the edge and work my way in. Look at that orange, very pretty shade. So this just complements the flower that's going on, and then since this is kind of a watercolor reaction also, just kind of blends in with it. I think it just makes for a stunning effect. All right, dab a little more there on a spot that needed it. Now remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate the support. All right, let's get on to putting this onto the base and finishing this card up. Can't wait to get this off in the mail to my mother. All right, so take a look at this. All right, so I'm going to put it on this black frame, and I'm using my favorite glue here. This is Barely Art Profusion Craft Glue, and I'm just going to put a small bead all the way around this. And this stuff's pretty sticky, so once it's down, it does take long to position it all, and it sets in. So I'm just kind of spreading it around thinly. I don't want any clumps underneath there. Now this paper, I was experimenting with some homemade shimmer spray a month ago, and I wanted to see how it looked on white cardstock and black cardstock, and that was my little sample I had left over. So it works out perfect for this. Makes a beautiful frame. And now I'm going to get my brayer and go over the top of this. This is going to squeeze out any air bubbles that might be underneath there and help spread the glue out. This is just a Cricut brand brayer, but you can use roller pen if you if that's all you had. All right, this is looking great. All right, so now I'm going to get my card base. I bought this at Hobby Lobby back in the spring when they had their stationery on sale, so I got a big box of envelopes and card bases, pretty cheap. So I've been looking for projects to use these on, and this is just one of them. And it's a size A2. And I did trim off about 1/4 inch off the top because I wanted to be symmetrical around the edges with this. And just spreading that glue on there again, little smiley face. And just center that right on here. Okay, that's looking so cute. Let's go ahead and brayer that over the top again. All right, I think it just needs a little razzle dazzle with some rhinestones, and I think we'll call this done. So these rhinestones here, I got them from Temu. They're called CM Volcano, and they shimmer from an orange to a golden to a pink, and I think they're glass because they're hot fix crystals. And but I use these on cards all the time because I like the shimmer of them better. So I kind of like to anchor these in odd numbers. So I'm going to use 3 of these crystals on here. So I put my 3 dots of glue down. And pick them up with my picker upper tool here. And put those on. And oh, these are just gorgeous. And orange and pink just complement the cards so well. There we go. It is done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. It's now your turn to give this a try. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring card making tutorials. Until next time, happy crafting.